Well, I wanted to thank you for taking time to speak with me today.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure.
You have to be very happy with the way Soulbound came together for you and the response to it. Tell me, were there any changes in the recording process since Nemesis?
Not really. I think, yeah, we recorded the drums in the same studio with our friends at Oxford in Finland. And then the rest of it was recorded in our own home studios and then mixed by me.
And I wanted to ask you if you could speak on one of my favorite tracks, the Anthem of the Broken. I wanted to ask
Hmm.
if you could tell me, speak of it lyrically and sonically as well.
Okay, lyrically might not be my expertise. It was mostly written by our singer Esko.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also playing a lot of the guitar on that one. It was one of the later ones on the album to come together, and it was finished quite quickly. And I think sometimes it's the songs that are finished in a very short amount of time that turn out the best, kind of because
Sure.
you don't overthink them as much.
Another
Um,
track that really stood out for me was Soulbound Parallax. Could you speak on that
mm,
track?
yes, absolutely. I think that was one of the ones that me and Esco wrote together, mostly Esco again, and uh, which I did a bit of orchestration for as well. But I'm especially happy with the guitar solo I played on that one, which I'm
Yes.
very proud of. It's sort of inspired by, I guess, Per Nilsson from what's the band? Scar Symmetry, if you know
Mm.
that one. Yeah, yeah. So he's one of my very favorite guitar players, and it was sort of trying to capture a bit of his energy there.
I wanted to ask you as well if you could take me back in time and tell me how the band became a reality.
Oh yeah, that might be a bit before my time. It was I'm born '95, and the band started in 2003, so I was about 8 years old at that time. The other guys are a bit older than me, but they have been playing together since, yeah, since forever. Our drummer and our singer are brothers, so they of
Oh,
course
wow.
grew up playing music together, and then the rest of them and sort of met in high school and such. And I believe the band was called Rotta, which means like rat in Finnish
Ah,
in the first place, and then they changed it to Gladenfold a bit later on, where they had more of a folk metal type of vibe in the beginning, and that's why the name comes from like glade, like forest
ah.
glade, and enfold, so like surrounded by the forest in a way. So it's a bit more of a like folk metal name compared to what the band sounds like now.
I wanted to ask you as well, could you speak on the album artwork and the artist that was involved in the album?
Sure. The album cover was made by Tuomas Valtanen, who we have also worked together with before on the T-shirt design for Nemesis, and we really liked how that came out. So we wanted to work with him again, and he also made some of the artwork for some of the singles from this album, like the For My Queen cover, and we had a T-shirt done for that as well. So the cover was made based on the kind of story that
Hmm.
is Esko, our singer, and Matthias, the other guitar player, have put together for the album, and has a lot to do with these two characters and how they sort of interact, and they're not really in the same world, but kind of, and we wanted to uh, like portray all of this sort of both medieval and more modern
Sure.
era, sort of a futuristic type of vibe. And we in general like how it came out.
I wanted to ask you as well, when you're creating, um, most of the times do the riffs come first or do the like in this case where there's actually storylines involved, do the lyrics come first in this album?
Hmm. I think, yeah, we usually write music first, lyrics second. I think it was the same for this one. Uh, Very like riff and sort
Hmm.
of like the chords and like this. That's our main thing, is like how the music feels and sounds, and then the lyrics are of course also important, especially in this sort of concept album. But
Sure.
it wasn't really written in the sense that we had a story planned out and then now we have to write all the chapters
Okay.
for it. It was kind of more of a classic like band situation, and then we sort of just felt like there was a story there to tell after the songs were kind of written as instrumentals.
And now the album is out. I wanted to ask you, are there plans to bring this album to life visually as a story?
Hmm. Not currently, but that would be very interesting to work with in the future. We're not a very visual band, you could say. I think we always sort of struggle with the visual side of it, like thinking about, okay, what do we want to do for the stage show, and what do we
Hmm.
want to do for the album cover, and so on and so on. It's always a little bit of a struggle for us, I think. So we're very just music focused guys, but we would of course love to dig more into that in the future. Maybe we need some input from the outside on how to do that.
Yeah, I think the album would render itself well as either in a written form as a chapters in separate chapters, and each one would include each song, or visually as well. I think the album could work both ways.
Yeah, sounds very interesting. I would love to do that at some point.
And what is the next step? What can fans look for next?
So the next thing we're doing is I'm gonna go to Helsinki on Saturday, and then next week we're flying to Japan to play two
Oh,
shows there on this Finnish metal festival in Tokyo, apparently called the Suomi Feast, which we're very much
wow.
looking forward to. Yes, and then we sort of, I think that concludes the album tour so far.
Hmm.
And then we're of course looking into what we're doing for the summer and for the fall in terms of the album. We're also looking to sort of what is the next step. So do we want to start writing some new music, or are we taking a little bit of a break and
Sure.
finding inspiration again, and so on and so on. It's been a quite a long process doing all of this since Nemesis. I think we've been working quite consistently on putting out music, and we of course want to feel as inspired as we've had have been on these two albums when we're
And
doing
in
something.
speaking on that, I wanted to ask you, were there tracks that didn't make the cut for the album?
Yes, we do have at least two or three songs, I believe, that are quite completely recorded, but that are not released yet. At least we're seeing if it will find like um, another way where it would make sense to release it, because they're not bad songs,
Mhm.
definitely not. But of course, we wanted like a quite tight package on
Sure.
this album. On Nemesis, a lot of the feedback and also what we felt was that it was very long, a very long album. So on this one, we really wanted to keep like, okay, only the very best bits, and um, like a fairly short package as well. So there were some cuts that had to be made, and then let's see if they find their way into some release in some form at some point.
I wanted to ask you as well, can you take me back in time and tell me how your musical journey started?
My personal one.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think it started when I moved school to a different school that had a better sort of music program that my original like elementary school had.
Hmm.
And so there they had this a few instruments, and we tried to play some like band songs in class, and I found it very fun. And then Guitar Hero came out,
Ah,
and then yeah, and then I got very inspired by all the songs that were on there, because of course it was a lot of old music, and there was
sure.
and then I think the third one came out, and it had like Metallica 1 on there, and I thought that that was the greatest thing I'd ever heard. So then from there on, I only wanted to be like James Hetfield, I think. So I just was in my room and playing Metallica songs like all of my teenage years. And then in Denmark, I played in some different type of bands. Played a little bit of like metalcore when that was very big in like
Hmm.
2010 or so. And then I played in like a symphonic melodic death metal band. And then I moved to Finland after high school. And then I found Gladenfold at some point after going to a metal bar, like a local metal bar, and then
Wow.
yeah, just meeting some people there, and then asking them, "Do you know anyone who needs like a guitar player or bass player?" And then it turned out that these guys needed a bass player, and I sent them a video of me playing guitar just because I didn't have a bass at the time. And then they said, okay, actually, we need the guitar player as well. So then
Oh,
I
excellent.
sort of found my way into the band at that point. And then I've been with them since, yeah, 2017. Yeah. So for almost 10 years.
I wanted to ask you, along your musical journey, what do you feel has been the best advice that's been given to you along the way?
Hmm. Oh, yeah. That's a great question. Best advice.
Or even
I don't
the
know if
advice you'd give someone who's starting today?
Yeah, I am sure. I think at least the most interesting part of playing music is that there seems to be so many ways of not even doing it, but there's so many ways that you can feel motivated to do it. So some people do it to entertain others, others do it only for their own pleasure,
Sure.
or and so on and so on. I think I'm at least more. I do it for my own sake, and we write music together in the band to make what we think would be great. And I don't think we're that as much entertainers. And I think that people should just in general like lean into whatever sort of motivation they feel, intrinsic motivation they feel to write music and do what they want with that. There's nothing worse about only wanting to entertain, playing music for only entertainment. I think that's great as well, and I don't think we're doing that, but people should be happy playing music and doing it their own way.
And as a guitarist, before you go on stage or before you're mic'd up in the studio, do you have a set warm-up routine that you go through?
Hmm. Uh, Not set. I think I just check that everything works, so to say. So I have like maybe some especially some songs where I know if I can play that, then I can probably play everything else.
Sure.
So then I just if I know that if that's dialed in, then everything else is probably going to be fine as well. So I just check those things and make sure that the hands are in sync and all of this stuff, and then usually it goes fine from there.
And you've been doing this for a while. I wanted to ask you, what is your most memorable experience playing live?
Hmm. I think it has to be when we were warming up for Battle Beast a couple of years back. We played a few shows with them in Finland, and there was a lot of people that came out, and everyone seemed to be very happy, and everything went well technically, and the sound was great, and it was just a very easy and fun experience, and hopefully that's how it should be. We've also had some more of the, what should you say, fun in a more chaotic way when we go on in
Sure.
the back of a bus to Estonia or Sweden or whatever. But yeah, I think that would have to be my favorite.
And now this album is out. I wanted to ask you if you could tell me what's the best way to get a physical copy of this album and any merchandise that you have.
Of course, so it's depending on where you are in the world. Of course, the shipping situation is a little bit chaotic,
Hmm.
especially Europe to the US. I don't even know what kind of distribution we have in the US at the moment. But otherwise, you can always order directly from us, and we'll try to figure it out from there. That's the one I'm very sure of. And of course, our label has distribution through all these like EMP and
Okay.
whatever you might know in Europe. But we have a limited edition vinyl, like with this red marble
Oh,
finish that we
excellent.
sell. So we sell directly from us, and I think we're the only ones who have that one. So
And lastly, I wanted to ask you if you could give a message to your fans, what message would you give them?
yes, our latest album, Soulbound, is out. It's for especially power metal fans this time around. But feel free to check out our back catalog. There's a lot of more old school melodic death metal
Absolutely.
sounds and folk metal, and it's very exciting stuff. But the new one, all power metal lovers, for the Sonata Arctica, Dragonland, Camelot, are very big inspirations for us. If you like those bands, I'm sure you'll like this one as well.
Well, I wanted to take a moment to thank you for creating an album that I enjoyed from top to bottom. It's been a
Thank you
pleasure
so
to
much.
speak with you, my friend.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime.
Please keep in touch with any new news as it comes about so I can get out to your fan base.
Absolutely. Look forward to hearing from you.
All right, you take care, my friend. You have a great day.
You too. All right.
Cheers.